Welcome to the Celia, apartment 302, off of 14th Street in the U Street corridor, right in the heart of Washington, D.C. Now, if you think this is going to be another listing video where I walk you around and talk about how amazing the property is, then you're wrong. Today we're going to talk about history, and keep watching to the end to find out just why you are going to want to call U Street home. The U Street corridor, also known as the Cardozo or Shaw District, dates back to the 1870s. From its early days as a bustling commercial corridor to its role as the center for African American culture in the city, U Street has played a vital role in shaping DC's identity. Although DC outlawed Jim Crow laws in 1917, segregation was still prevalent throughout the early 20th century. Restriction on housing and other services led to a divided city. But when venues such as the Howard and Lincoln Theater were built in the early 1900s, the neighborhood began to flourish and became a safe haven for African Americans at the time. This sparked a massive growth of the area and became a place where African American entrepreneurs could open their businesses. During the first half of the 20th century, singer and actress Pearl Bailey dubbed this area Black Broadway due to the abundance and popularity of jazz clubs and theaters. It became a city within a city and one of the greatest musical eras in DC's history. The biggest musical names of the times were here: Ella Fitzgerald, Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, and the Mr. Duke Ellington, who grew up in this very neighborhood on 13th Street, just 2 blocks down from you. And there's this amazing mural of Duke Ellington on the True Reformer building, which was constructed in the early 1900s by the True Reformers, a fraternal organization established in the late 19th century to promote the economic, social, and political advancements of African Americans. The popularity of U Street continued into the 1950s, and during that time, one of the most famous, resilient, and long-lasting businesses was created. That's right, I'm talking about Ben's Chili Bowl. Founded in 1958, Ben and Virginia Ali were a couple who wanted to open a restaurant where people from all walks of life could come together to enjoy good food and community. They opened their doors to a small storefront on U Street in the heart of a vibrant African American community. Throughout the years, Ben's Chili Bowl has become a cultural institution and a beloved landmark in DC. Ben's Chili Bowl has been a destination for locals and visitors alike, serving not only delicious food, but also a place where people can come together. It has also become a favorite among celebrities, athletes, and politicians, everyone from Martin Luther King Jr. to President Obama. On April 4th, 1968, the day of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination, protests and riots filled the streets of DC. People were outraged and sad, and U Street was hit hard with damage from the demonstrations. Many residents and business owners left the area, leading places like the Lincoln Theater to shut down. However, not all music died during this time. Between the 1960s and 1970s, you had musical artists such as Chuck Brown come onto the scene. His band Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers popularized the go-go sound, making him the godfather of go-go. Chuck's ability to improvise and keep the beat going helped establish the go-go music style and became the foundation of the genre. The band's live performances were known for their energy and excitement and for their ability to keep the crowd dancing for hours on end. But it wasn't until the 1970s and 80s that go-go really took off, with groups like Rare Essence, whose impact on the go-go scene can't be overstated. Their sound, style, and energy have been influential to so many other bands in the genre and continue to inspire new generations of go-go musicians. Their music is not only considered as an important part of the history of go-go, but also an integral part of DC's cultural heritage. Go-go music kept the spirit of U Street alive and continues to play an important role in shaping the city's cultural identity. Once we get into the 1980s and 90s, we see punk and hardcore music come onto the scene when venues like the Black Cat and the popular 930 Club opened their doors. The 930 Club, which used to be an old YMCA building, was founded in 1980 and began as a small underground club. It quickly became a hub for the underground music scene in DC. In the 80s, the 930 Club was a launching pad for many local and independent bands, providing them with a place to perform and build their fan base. During that time, the venue had a wide variety of acts and genres of music, from punk and new wave to ska and alternative music. In the 1990s, the 930 Club's reputation began to grow, and the venue became known as one of the premier music venues in the country, hosting acts of all genres, including indie rock, electronic, hip-hop, and everything in between. So despite some of the most challenging times that our country has faced, through segregation and market crashes, government shutdowns, and the pandemic, U Street and the people living here have remained strong and resilient, proving that good food, great music, and a strong sense of community can bring us together and lift us up. So as you can see, U Street, it's not just a neighborhood, it's a community.